This show is intended for general purposes only, as individual situations may vary. Statements made should not be relied upon as recommendations or solicitation. When discussed, past performance is no guarantee or indication of future results. Nelson Financial Planning offers security through Nelson Ivest Brokerage Services, member FINRA, and SIPC.
Good Sunday morning. This is Bud Hettinger. Next on News Radio 102.5 WFLA, the longest-running radio show in Central Florida, Dollars and Cents, with my good friend Joel Garris from Nelson Financial Planning. You can call him at the office this week at 407-629-6477 to schedule your free consultation to discuss your retirement plans. Or you can talk to him right now at 407-916-5400.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the program Dollars and Cents. My name is Joel Garris. We're with Nelson Financial Planning during the week, but here on Sunday morning, we're coming to you live from the News Radio 102.5 WFLA studios. Also simulcasting to our friends over on the AM dial at 540. The program aptly titled Dollars and Cents, where we help you make sense out of the many topics that have anything and everything to do with your dollars. Got a packed show today, as we do each and every week. We're going to talk a little bit about volatility and one of the statistics that we saw this past week, which is just one more piece of evidence that continues to pile on to our investment thesis, which is you're never going to be able to time the market. The market has an inherent level of volatility, but it also has an inherent level of times when nothing really is happening. And we've got some statistics that really underscore that. And then we'll talk a little bit about the midterm elections. Might be a little early on that, but we want to get you thinking about that. We're certainly going to hear much more of that in the months ahead. Some interesting statistics looking at past midterm election years. I think you'll be very intrigued by what past history tells us as to what happens in the midterms. And then we're going to talk about millennials. Been actually talking about millennials a bit of late, but saw a statistic about their investment approach, and it kind of shocked me. So we're going to talk again specifically to the millennials that hopefully are out there listening to the program. That would be anybody aged 25 to 40. And we're going to really pose a pretty tough question to that group because there's some statistics that are coming in terms of their investment allocation and investment strategy that really is a bit of a head scratcher for sure. This past week, another busy one at the office. We had night 2 of our client appreciation events where we took over the restaurant Booyah Gastro Bar right close to the office. For those of you who are longtime Central Floridians, you would know the location as the former location of the Mount Vernon Inn, and if you dared to venture in, particularly on a Friday and Saturday night, to the Red Fox Lounge, then you've probably got some interesting memories. But that's where it was, right around the corner from the office. We did it a week ago Thursday, and then, of course, we did it this past Tuesday. Just our way of saying thank you to our clients. So that was the week past. Looking ahead, it's not necessarily stuff going around the office that's going to keep me entertained. We have an event of sorts coming up on a personal basis. My youngest will be out of elementary school. Man, I just find that pretty hard to believe. But Connor graduates from 8th grade, graduates from the Christ School from downtown, graduates on Thursday. So next year, I won't have to worry about taking anybody into school. I guess that's the upside, right? The sad side is that all the kids are getting older and it'll soon be pretty quiet around the house. But next year, I won't have to worry about taking anybody into school because I will have at Boone a senior, a sophomore, and a freshman. And actually, on the first day of school, I will be sending off a senior, a junior, a sophomore, and a freshman because my wife decided it would be a little interesting twist with a house full of boys to have a temporary daughter coming up here in August and for 4 months. This past year, we were a host family for the Rotary Youth Exchange, had a young gentleman, William, very nice young man from Denmark, at the house for 4 months. And that program is a year-long program. They rotate through 3 different houses, so 4 months over that 12-month period of time. So we were kind of the middle leg for William. So next year, well, not next year, in August, during the next cycle for the Rotary Youth Exchange, we will be a host family for a young lady named Paula from Germany. And so that'll change up the dynamic quite a bit. And so on the first day of school, we will wave to a senior, a junior, a sophomore, and a freshman. That'll be interesting. That'll be a lot of lunches to pack and a little bit of different timing around the house. So needless to say, we're going to enjoy summer and sort of gear up to that gradually. But yes, big comings and goings. Connor graduates from 8th grade on Thursday and is ready to go off to high school for sure. Also, looking ahead to next weekend, it's Memorial Day weekend. We're going to do a special show featuring a senior investment personnel from MFS, Massachusetts Financial Services. It's a guy by the name of Brad Rattan. If you've been a client of the firm for a while, you know Brad because we've had Brad come down and speak to us on a couple of different occasions. And so we're going to be actually doing a program with him that we will be airing next Sunday during Memorial Day weekend. So look for that program because that should be pretty interesting. We don't often have a special guest on the program, but we're trying to do that a little bit more because it always is a little nice to have a little bit more of a conversation. So we're going to have Brad on the program with us next week. So that should be interesting. We're going to ask him a lot of questions that involve how the investment management, how active managers, how portfolio managers actually do what they do. So that should be somewhat of an interesting program for next week. Looking back to last week, beyond the Big Booyah event, the Supreme Court, in its infinite wisdom, managed to grant another way that you can be distracted from your financial goals. Of all the distractions that are out there that prevent people from saving enough money for retirement or saving enough money to help pay for college or saving enough money to help pay for their medical expenses, there's a host of distractions. Well, guess what? The Supreme Court added one more. Because now you can bet on sports all over the world, all over the country. Isn't that great? That's exactly what people needed. We don't have all this stupid cryptocurrency nonsense going on out there that's getting everybody's attraction. Let's add another layer in so that people can be parted with their hard-earned money. 6-3 Supreme Court decision overturned a 26-year federal ban on sports betting outside of Nevada, allowing other states to enter the business. Good news if you're in New Jersey or in New York. Maybe now you can balance your budget, okay? Maybe you should have probably figured out what your expenses were and lived within your means, but oh well. I guess sports betting will solve all of those problems. That is for sure. Past week, markets basically yawned. Not much of a movement. I think a little bit of a dip down of about 0.5% if you look at the major averages. So not too much. Earnings season pretty much wrapped up. This coming week ahead, you're going to hear much more about trade. A couple of weeks ago, we did a pretty extensive program on trade and kind of the shifting parameters of trade and how much traditional trade has changed since it was 20 years ago. Much more about data, not necessarily about washers and dryers and things like that. So we've got the NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, that will continue to make some headlines this coming week as they go through round of negotiations. Also this week, we may see some changes to the Dodd-Frank financial legislation. Dodd-Frank was passed in 2010 in reaction to the financial crisis. Many of the parameters in there probably overcorrected, probably overshot, as is typical in Washington. Something happens, there's a bit of an overreaction. So this legislation that might very well pass this past week would go towards pulling back some of those regulations. So that's the week that's passed. That's the week ahead. So we will see how all of that plays out in the week ahead. We'll slide to the break. When we get back from the break, we're going to talk some about midterms. Got some interesting stats on midterm election years. Hopefully you will find that fascinating. Stay tuned through the break for that conversation here on Dollars and Cents. This is Joel Garris on News Radio 102.5 WFLA.
This is Bud Hedinger. You know, you can talk to Joel Garris of Nelson Financial Planning right now on Dollars and Cents about anything to do with your money by calling 407-916-5400. Give him a call. It's time to make sense of your dollars.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Dollars and Cents. This is your host, Joel Garris of Nelson Financial Planning. This segment of the program, we're going to talk a little bit about midterms, not midterms in school, but rather midterm elections coming up in less than 6 months. On November the 6th of this year, we will all, and hopefully we will all, turn out and do our civic duty and vote. So, what will that mean? On November the 6th, all 435 members of the House are up for re-election because the House, they only serve 2 years, so they constantly are up for re-election. The Senate, because they all serve 6 years, it's kind of like a rolling 2-year thing, so a third of the seats are up for grabs in the Senate. So 33 Senate seats are up for re-election. Unless you've been living under a rock, you know that one of those 33 is actually here in the state of Florida. Already seeing the ads out there. The last 4 midterm elections, so that would be 2002, last 4 midterm elections. So midterm meaning in the middle of a presidential term, not the ones that occur when we have a presidential election, but rather specifically the midterm years. So that would be 2002, 2006, 2010, 2014. Those would be the last 4 midterms. The balance of power, Democrats versus Republicans, changed